Hello everyone, welcome back. In the last class, we tried to understand what is a mineral resource and what is a mineral resource crisis. But now we must know that the mineral resource crisis is aggravated not only by traditional factors like geology, economy, and technology, but also the factors like environment, government, regulations, and public opinion. You must be aware of these parameters. So, as a geologist, when I try to explain to the decision makers in a consultancy firm or in an industry or in a government body why a mineral deposit is worth mining for, I must make sure that my side of my argument is very, very strong. Well, that being said, let us try to analyze in this class the factors that control mineral availability. Factors that control mineral availability. See, for the starters, there are four. Well, actually, there are more than four, but I am going to concentrate on these four in this class as they seem to be the most important ones from a geologist's point of view. Okay, please remember these factors are important from the geologist's point of view. Okay, so the four different factors are as follows. The first one is geological. You have engineering, also called as or also referred to as sometimes technical, technological. You have environmental, and lastly you have economical. You see, the economic factors are chronologically put at the end because the economy of the deposit, that is whether it is going to be profitable or not, depends on the risks associated with the other three factors. So we'll begin to see each an individual factor and how it controls the mineral availability. We'll start with the geological factor. The geological factor is the primary factor that controls the availability of the mineral resources. It's a primary factor. So this is the reason, being it the primary factor is the reason why geologists are in great demand in the mineral industry. So without a geologist, you don't know what are the geological controls you have on the mineral availability, and it becomes very difficult for a person without geological background to locate the mineral deposit. So there is a close relationship between the type of mineral deposit found in an area and its geological setting. Just as common sense tells us not to look for oil in the crater of a volcano, if you are looking for petroleum or gasoline, you don't look in a volcanic crater. The study of Earth has taught us to look for minerals in favorable geological environment. But the very important point I want to make in this geological factors is as population pressures place more demand on land, geological controls on the distribution of mineral deposits will become increasingly important in the land use decisions. So every land use decision made by any government needs to basically understand what is the mineral potential of that particular land before it is being given to use for some other purposes. So that is very important. Otherwise, you are going to miss a very promising land in terms of mineral deposit. Uh, it goes into waste. Okay, so the second factor is the engineering factors. Basically, it is the technology. This varies from country to country. So each country has its own technological advancement, has made its own technological advancement, and based on the availability of technology, a mineral deposit becomes a profitable venture for that particular country, or the farms, or the industries which are involved in the mining business in that particular country. So engineering factors affect mineral availability in two ways. The first one is technically, and the second being economically. It's a very interesting concept how these two plays a significant role as engineering factors in controlling the mineral availability. Technical constraints are temporal, that means they change with time. The technical constraints the mankind had a century back to dig gold was not the same what he has now. So that's what I mean by temporal. It's a temporal constraint. You see, technical constraints are imposed when we simply cannot do something regardless of desire or availability of money. You have enough funds, you have enough desire to acquire a particular mineral entity, but these two things are not sufficient when you're talking about technological constraints. Even no matter how much money you have or how much desire you have, at today's technological advancement, you can never extract iron from Earth's core. So that is an example. Similarly, in terms of economic factors, the constraint of mineral availability only when we judge the cost of a project to be too great. Uh, what I mean is, for instance, we could build the necessary equipment to mine the moon, but the cost of the equipment and the mining expedition would far exceed any benefit that the minerals you might afford from the moon. So you might build the technological requirements to mine the moon for a particular mineral resource, but whatever you mine and the basically the price you pay for building the technology and moving this or transporting this technology to the moon, mine, and bring back the mined product to the earth may not uh, be so small, or it may exceed the benefits what you are going to get. So that is the economic consideration issues with the engineering factors. So moving on, we have environmental factors. See, the environmental concerns about mineral resources focus on environmental pollution at two different stages. You have pollution originating during mineral production, and you have pollution emanating during mineral consumption. These are two different things, but this is going to significantly affect the availability of a mineral. Basically to determine whether the given mineral deposit is profitable or not. So that's what I mean to say. We'll see the first one of this, that is during production, how the pollution during production is caused, how it is going to impact. See, the waste generated during the mining and mineral processing activities are believed to be 10 times greater by volume in the economic cycle. Uh, 10 times. So, the study of older mineral extraction sites has shown that the toxic impact of mining could spread across distances of many kilometers. So, in an effort to prevent future calamities, laws and regulations have been developed to control the generation and disposal of waste products from mineral exploration and production. Please remember this, you have laws and regulations that controls the generation and disposal of waste products from mineral exploration and production. You must realize at this point that the increased cost of compliance with these environmental laws and regulations is what is going to determine whether a mineral deposit can be extracted profitably. So, I will give a simple example of related to the laws and regulations. In most of the developed countries, economically developed countries, the laws and regulations related to environment are very stringent, and henceforth any mineral deposit to consider any mineral deposit as profitable is a bit difficult. Whereas in the very low developed countries or economically poor countries like those in African continent, the laws and regulations related to environment is very poor or very loosely constructed, and hence any deposit can be easily converted into a profitable reserve. So this is the basic difference. So moving on, however, the second environmental issue pertaining to consumption is a bit tricky because it takes a longer period of observation and better analytical techniques to demonstrate that the soil, water, and air around us are changing in response to our activities. However, uh, this recognition has produced legislation to remove toxic elements from the substances that comes out of a mineral-based industry. Though an important change that aims at improving environmental quality, it adds to the cost of uh, using minerals. So that is the environmental factors, and we will move on to the last factor of mineral availability, that is the economic factors. In order to determine what are the economic factors that contains that controls the mineral availability, you need to integrate the other three factors. Uh, the economic factors can be of two types. One on the supply side, which are largely engineering and environmental costs related to extraction and processing, and the second one is on the demand side, which includes commodity process, taxation, land tenure, and other legal policies of the host government. Although the balance among these forces can be considered from many political and economic perspectives, it is impossible to avoid the fact that the cost of producing a mineral must be borne by the deposit from which it comes, or in some special cases, by some other segment of the host economy.